Beloved poets, welcome to Open Minds Open Mic, the place to be on a Friday night. And tonight, we got a delight for you in the form of our open mic shenanigans, of course, and a wicked, dope, kick-ass feature from the one and only Kelly Mary McAllister. It's going to be a fun ride tonight. I'm glad that you're all with me here in this space as we delve into this poetic space and have fun with it. I posted the list not too long ago in the group chat. That will be updated periodically as we go on throughout the nights. But yeah, just a few quick ground rules. Keep it all about the love. No hate speech, basic shit, but as we go into 2024, the end of it, we're just seeing that's common thing. Common knowledge isn't as common as you think. But with that said, on deck, we got Thomas Open Minds. But kicking things off tonight, please give it up for Nemo Soom. Unmute and take it away when you are ready.
Thank you, Dre. It's great to see everyone, and Kelly, I can't wait for your feature. I have a sequence of micro poems. So here we go. My parents fought like a shuttle back and forth in the weaving of my childhood, each insisting how beautiful life would be if I would just follow the plan. But instead, I dodged and darted amongst the darker threads of their poisonous narrative, staying just away from the sharpest points. What an amazing tapestry we might have woven, instead of this great and hopeless knot. They are gone now, and I can only scratch at the looser strings with bloody fingernails and hope the conqueror with his sword finds me before the fates see what we did to their loom. Do you know where the wild things are? I ate them. I went to where they were. They rolled their eyes and gnashed their teeth. I held them down and I devoured them, the wild things. They tasted like scared children and night terrors. I wake inside a man who greets me with disappointment. I lift up my words and he shakes his head. He holds my face in these verses, shows me all the places I did it wrong until I swear that I'm ashamed, and I'll be silent. I'm trapped inside a man who knows my dad was right, and I don't have any hustle, and I don't have any heart. I'm not even trying. For my wickedness, I labored in rooms full of rotting boxes that couldn't be sorted, stacks of moldering paper that couldn't be moved, and the fetid smell of fresh shame mixing with the old. I wonder if I will ever be strong enough to divert a river through my heart, to wash away the filth and end these wretched thoughts so I could start again, clean. Turning the corner on a familiar street, I encountered myself when I was just a boy walking headlong into the storm. And I wanted to shout some warning, share some wisdom that would spare him from the wind that batters with words. But I never did learn how to dodge a lightning bolt. And this charred heart doesn't hold any answers. I only survived the ordeal. I never mastered it. So I watched him go alone and unprepared into the rain, as I stood silently, twisting tragedy into verses he'll write someday. I read about a man who was amazing at math after he woke from a brutal beating. He said he saw the world in fractals he could draw by hand. When I woke from my beating, What was I? I shake my tiny fists at the sky, but the thunder isn't listening, and the rain doesn't care. Thank you.
Wow. That's how you start off the show, everybody. Everybody unmute and show your love for Nemo Zoom at this time.
Woo! Nemo!
Great job, Nemo.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh man. Great that you're able to make it here. And it's great to have you kicking things off. Just double checking things here real quick. I don't see Thomas back yet.
I think they're still in the breakout room.
I think so too. So we're gonna call an audible here. With that said, I would say on deck we would have Thomas Open Minds, but up next, please get it for John Michael. Unmute and take it away when you are ready.
Thank you. Thank you. This is a piece that I literally just wrote. Feel like reading it anyway. Life feels like an endless dream. In this dream, I'm spinning mystically through the midnight breeze. Moonshine freezes my glance, another chance to capture this moment of beauty. Memory stitched intuitively into the universal fabric that bends and folds, yet this energy can't be sold. Truth be told, neither can your soul. It's a conscious decision. The indecision of this world that splits, conflicts in day as in night, the inner demons that fight. It's just a game of balance, and the scales of karma are shifting. To govern souls by force of control, body and mind enslaved, fear engraved into the bones. The story has already been told, repeating rhythms and rhymes through centuries of lifetimes. Can't you feel that vibrational flow? Intuition knows where to go if you follow. Ashes, ashes, we all fall down. Allow those ashes to be reborn, an oath sworn to our higher self, a higher purpose with intent of love being the surplus. Thank you.
Right on, man. Everybody, please give it up for John Michael at this time. Oh,
Lovely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo! Yeah.
All right, my man. Keep doing that thing. Seriously, we appreciate the work that you've showcased so far on this platform, and we look forward to see what else you have to share moving forward. Moving on with the list, seeing that Thomas and Mavi are still not in. I revised an alternate list, assuming that they're going to take longer than the feature. So, with that said, on deck, we would have myself. Let's step into the plate now. Please get up for Lantern Carrier. Unmute and take it away when you are ready.
Okay, I'm still playing with my Zoom here, but let's go for it. All right. Hey. Love touched me. It was so powerful, my breath became suspended. My heart shed blissful tears. I had not previously bathed in this sweetness, and I was taken aback. In my drunken haze, I tried to comprehend its music, mesmerizing the alcove of my being. Alas, it was to no avail, for compelling delight silenced the intellect and calmed my soul. I saw myself emanating rhythms from the majesty of the sun. A pulsating light took hold of my darkness, smashing it into a trillion fragments. I became merged in a cluster of twinkling stars. I swooned in reverie, as if inebriated with wine, intoxicated by the splendor of my eternal home. I wish I could sing like starlings, dart within the foliage of lush green leaves, display the eloquence of nightingales, awakening the flowers with magical words. I wish I could resonate like music, me floating on chords, whispering to the heart, I love you. Then I will dance with the lustrous moonbeams, laugh with the shooting stars of heaven. I wish to disperse like clouds of dawn, revealing the splendor of the radiant sun, soaring like the immortal phoenix, to bask in the joys of perennial freedom. I wish I could flirt like the hummingbird, adorned in a tapestry of effulgent light, kissing the cheeks of morning glories, transmitting their light with vivacity. I wish for the smile in the breath of silence, offering praises to the glories of love. I once sealed my memory to the wounds of afflictions and desires. Now you have kindled a flame of fire in my soul, so I could shine like the morning star. When my world seemed lost, my capacity to soar was stultified. You came like a breeze above the clouds, dispelling my mistiness of shadows. There was a cold chill, an endless darkness in your absence. Now my heart awakes to the glories of shooting stars. Even as the fish enjoys the breath of the ocean, make me your udder to savor the milk of heaven's sweetness. Let my heart's lotus open like the flower to the dawn, for I wish to be a lover with you as my rose. And the final one, if I can find it. Yeah, I promised to do it for the feature on silence. Meditation, mind still, calm, serene and vacant. I'm transported by the soul's beauty into the inner realm of deep tranquility and vastness. It is like being at the bottom of the sea, where everything is hushed, silent, peaceful. On the surface, there's a multitude of waves, but I am in an aquamarine bed of sweet solitude. I reach out to my lover, my essence filled with the breath of an ambrosial wine. Tears flow from my inner sanctum, orchestrated by a bliss celestial, merging into the pangs of humanity's deepest sorrows. From the depth of the nameless presence, I speak to my beloved in silence. In full prostration, palms outstretched in reverence, I entreat, O love, please accept my prayerful tears as a token offering on behalf of your creation. I feel a flowering of my being, merging into the singer of my song. We become one, beating the cadences of love's victory with heaven's supernal gong. Receptive to the wings of love, I pay homage to the one in the deep stillness of the heart's peace, the unspoken sweetness in the profundity of the soul. Lantern Carrier, thank you.
That's the dude right there. Everybody, please unmute and give it up for Lantern Carrier at this time.
Thank you, dude.
Lantern Carrier.
Beautiful.
Blessed to have you here and understand you were bouncing around from one event to another. Just
That's right. Yeah, just give in.
well, we consider ourselves lucky to be in the presence. Thank you again, Lantern.
Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna keep the shindig rolling. With that said, on deck we got Stephanie Vance, but stepping to the plate. I guess give it up for me, your host for tonight's action. Not gonna refer to myself in third person. All right. So, so I think I got a piece here, at least one piece. Kind of rushed this a bit in terms of the planning of what piece to present. So here's I don't belong in New Hampshire. I don't belong to a state that has always treated me differently from birth to today. I don't belong to live in a state that's placed me in a special reading group in elementary school because I lived in a home with Spanish speaking parents. I guess if you're brown, don't speak English in their eyes. I don't belong to a state that allows under the table corruption to ruin my chance of becoming student council president. I don't belong to a state that denied my deceased best friend his graduation diploma despite having paperwork that proved his intents to graduate. I don't belong to a state that allows their employer to write me up for something I didn't say, but more so the way I looked, a victim not having the complexion for their protection. I don't belong to a state who gave all their electoral votes to Hillary Clinton when Bernie Sanders soundly defeated her in 2016 and still demand the first in the nation presidential primary election. I don't belong to a state who allowed Bob Baines and others to rid the state of higher education, art schools, and institutions. I don't belong to a state that doesn't care about fairness, art, mental health, and homelessness. I don't belong to a state that allows police to send 2 canine units in an attempt to sniff out drugs several times, only to find absolutely nothing in a Latino man's car outside my window. I don't belong to a state that simply doesn't give a fuck about me and my well being. I don't belong to a state where I am guilty without trial. I don't belong to a state that has never felt like home. That's peace. And um let's see here. Let's throw this one out. Here's hmm. All right. I'm gonna do
This meeting is being recorded.
whoa, what was that? Sorry. I'm going to be doing Pitchman Writes to Arnold. Okay. For years, I've dried the tears of many birds, not just pigeons. I have spiritual bonds with nature's aviators. They understand me, and I understand them. It's people I can't understand. Humanity has been too much more off than it could chew, for Mother Nature's eternally sacrificing and giving hands. It hurts to see the way it hurts. Excuse me. It hurts to see the way people hurt each other, the way hurt people, the way we all hurt. It's a shame how the rest of the planet suffers because of so much hurt. Humanity needs to learn and apply the lesson of turning negatives into positives, as opposed to combating negatives with negatives. But I digress. As I flew towards the sun, it felt as if I was chasing the horizon forever. Arnold, life is so much different when your head is in the clouds. Everything feels so much smaller. You, me, the troubles we face, the world, and everything in it. Despite of all the things I've seen, the places I've been to, the birds I've befriended, I haven't been able to meet another Arnold. Your kindness is a mighty flame that brings warmth and light to anyone who comes close enough. Empathy is an ability that is becoming lost in time, and my time is coming to an end. Arnold, don't be sad. I am but a man whose head is in the clouds, but you have time on your side to be the link that binds human and bird together. Never give up, trust your instincts, and reach for the sky. I miss you. Warm regards, Vincent. P.S. Always wash your berries before eating them and fly towards the sun. Poem. Thank you.
Wow.
Nice.
Very
Yeah.
powerful, man.
That
Beautiful,
was lovely.
Beautiful pieces.
Yeah, I wish I planned that set a little better, honestly, but I didn't expect things to get all shuffled around. But hey, I guess that's part of the chaos and magic that this universe brings here. So we just got to roll with the punches. So with that said, seeing that Thomas and Mavi are still not back, um, we got the feature lined up um, as on deck. So get ready for Kelly on deck. But stepping up to the plate now, please give it up for Stephanie Vance. Unmute and take it away when you are ready.
Hello, everybody. So nice to be here. I have two short pieces today. Yeah, okay, let's go. The first one is called The Abyss. I am stuck in an abyss, wading in the shallows, feet sucked in, mud seeping into my shoes. The more I fight, the more I sink. And if someone could please turn a fucking light on, maybe I could see what I was doing long enough to find my way out. But the abyss doesn't want that. My tricksy friend, it has seduced me fully. It would rather I stay trapped, not knowing which way is up. Who needs a sense of direction anyway, baby? I've got endless space in all directions for all delusions and otherwise insane thoughts. My own imagination will keep me warm at night. Make a map of my fantasies, frame it and hang it on my bedroom wall. That's all it's good for. It sure as shit. Not doing anything here. Hold my beer. I'll need more wall space before I'm done. Give me an inch, pennies on the dollar, give and give and give, and the abyss takes and takes and takes, insatiable, uncontainable, undeniable. I don't know how to leave you, couldn't if I tried. I shout into the abyss, plead at the top of my lungs, a whisper replies. I call it a day. I call it enough. Maybe tomorrow I'll have better luck. That's that one. And this next one is called Impossible. It's impossible, they tell me. Girl, you are living in a fantasy. Who gave you the right to dream so strange? But what is stranger than the truth? A fish walking on land. Isn't that how we got here? A history lesson, a reminder that impossible things happen all the time. I want the impossible. I expect the impossible. These feet whose flights of fancy follow down dubious paths, whose heels flit and turn at the first sight of danger, but are ready to learn to just turn a new page. Impossible is a challenge that the bold rise to meet and the weak scurry away from. So scurry if you must. It's just that it'd be a lot cooler if you didn't, if you'd acquire a taste for walking a road shaped like a Mobius strip. This is where I cut my teeth. This is my impossible reality, but a fish repaving the road into a straightaway. Unflappable instincts and steadfast heels. Now that would be a hell of a feat. Could you dare wish to see such a thing? Should it be? Well, gee, now I've seen everything. This raises the bar for impossibility. Now imagine all the other impossible things there are to see. Poem.
Everybody, please give for Stephanie Vance at this time. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Hey, beautiful.
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you, guys.
The second what Kelly was saying about that delivery,
I feel like
it had such a march to it. You just couldn't help but want to like gallop to when you're listening. It was nice.
Thank you.
I just like when the intensity of the cadence matches the intensity of the content, and you delivered right there.
Thank you.
So with that said, thank you very much. And thank you everybody here who's joining us so far. We have been through 5 poets now, but now we're delving into our feature. So with that said, Here at Open Minds, we are very excited, very pleased to be having whoa, breakout rooms. Why is this popping up? I'm sorry. We're pleased to be having Kelly Mary McAllister. One of the finest poets I've bumped into so far, and not just in Canada, but in the world. Um, I think we first met like back in I don't know, earlier this year on the Slam Jam, and you were coming out of another open mic, and the first poem you hit, I was like, "Yep, you hit me." Please just keep bringing this shit. And then to be hearing that you've been on Part of the Artist before, and this will give everybody an opportunity to delve more into who Kelly is as an artist and as a human, and it's truly is a delight to be having you. And also, when you have a chance, please list any and all links to promote whatever you have going on. I understand that you have a publication that just came out, so please post a link to that. But at this time, it is my distinct honor and privilege to be welcoming to the stage right now, the virtual stage, Kelly Mary McAllister. Unmute and take it away when you are ready.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here. I would otherwise be sitting in a hotel room very bored, so this worked out really nicely. Again, if my internet goes wonky, just throw it in the chat and I'll switch to tethering because you never know how hotel Wi-Fi is going to go. But so far, it seems to be holding up well. I thought, since Dre already mentioned it, I did just release my debut collection. Oh, there we go. No, it's blurry still. We actually just sold out of the first run. So I have to get a second run. So if you want to pre-order for the second run, I've dropped the link into the chat for you. And I thought I would start with a few pieces from the book. So I didn't set out to write a collection. I was just writing because I have big feelings. And then I ended up with so many pieces that I started to compile them into chapbooks. And then a friend of mine, some of you may know, Marissa Prada, reached out and said, "Hey, do you want to do a collection?" And I thought, okay, let's do this. So Dead Weight is a collection in 3 parts about what it's like with the weight to be a fat person in a skinny world, what it is like to experience a few significant losses. That's the section, The Dead. And lastly, what it's like to be physically disabled and mentally disabled in a very ableist world, which is the dead weight. So I will start with my favorite piece that I may have ever written, called Just Do It, which some of you may have heard before. Exercise only works if it hurts. It's the pain that burns those calories, the internal combustion engine of the body as you're suffering. Go harder. Tears should slide down your flushed cheeks, salt mingling with salt, an alchemy of perspiration and pain that makes the pump more potent. You should feel no joy. If you feel a moment of joy, don't. Health is beauty, beauty is pain, so pain must be health. You can find joy in joy when you've destroyed the fat, when you've earned it. You don't look like you've earned it yet. Food is only fuel, not a pleasure, not a pleasant experience, but a penance, a punishment. If it's good for you, it should taste like sand, disintegrating in your mouth into tasteless particle pieces. If you're not hungry for this, then you're not really hungry, are you? If the buckle won't latch on your belt, you should buckle down, buck up, eat less, be less. No one will love you unless you fit into those pants. To buy a new pair, oop, I lost my spot. My bad. Stay with me. To buy a new pair is to admit defeat. To accept your features is fine. To accept a futile future as fat. To fool yourself into the fantasy that others don't see your flaws. You can't ever let them see your flaws. So close your jaws. Diet or you'll die of it. Roll the dice with the vice of it. Don't you know that the last one standing had the life most worth living? Don't you know that the trophy at the end of it all is the smallest coffin? And that's my first piece. It's probably my favorite ending line that I've ever written. So I'm setting the bar a little high here. But that is from the first section on the weight. Yeah, I read you already. This is another piece. I thought I would try to spotlight some of the pieces I don't read very often. And everyone ignore Shocky because she is in the chat acting up as per usual. This is a piece I don't think I've read ever, called Hunger is My Mother Tongue. My hunger is a tunnel with no end, calling to me constantly. More, it says. More, it screams. Hunger is my mother tongue, the only language that I was born with. A deep black chasm into which I pour and I pour and I pour. It never fills. I found myself perpetually anxious, concerned with how to feed a beast with endless appetite, whose flesh, pulsed with unsated need, a heart that only beat with want, is never satisfied. Until I heard it calling, listened closer to its cry, not for food, but for nourishment, for comfort. I reached into the abyss of my hunger and I found my loneliness. I wrapped my arms around her, my loneliness, whispered sweetly in her ear as I would a child, that we would always have each other, that we are enough. That is that one. And now we're going to jump into The Dead, a very cheerful chapter. I've read the poem One Week a lot, so I'm not going to read One Week right now. I know it's one of Shocky's favorite, but she's trolling me in the chat, so note for Shocky. But this is the companion piece to One Week. Content warning for most of my stuff. It's super depressing for various reasons. You'll find out. This one's called The Letter. I got a letter from you today. The last one I will ever get. Holding the small square in my shaking hands, I was afraid to open it, knowing it was the last words that you would ever gift me. I don't know what I expected. Not this small card, the cover a tasteful watercolor in soothing tones, like all of the generic thank you cards that you diligently filled out over a lifetime. What did I expect? An answer, maybe? A definitive fact that I could hold close? Something I could shelter behind from this storm of what if, should have, if only. The first read, I could recognize no words. The letters swam in my tears like tadpoles, my pulse pounding in my ears, each thump reminding me that yours beat no longer. The second read was disillusioning. The answers I sought, I craved, I required like air for my next breath were not within. I felt no clarity, no clemency, no peace. This was all there was left. And I wanted more. Rage flared deep inside me, feral and hot, at you, at those that failed you, at myself. I wanted to shred that card with its dentist office art and its insufficient words. I wanted to rip it into tiny pieces and eat them, consume them, erase them. But on my 1000th trip over your words and your perfectly round script and your beautifully spaced lines, I finally found it. The fact that I had been looking for. One I can grasp with both hands as my world fractures on a fault line of before and after, as I sit with my heart in my throat and my head in my hands, as each day carries me relentlessly away from you. In that letter, I found the truth, the one truth, the only truth to which I can cling. You loved me, and that will have to be enough. Yeah, I did warn you. This one is also about losing the same person, but it's a little bouncier. Somebody once called me like a really depressed Dr. Seuss, and that's the best compliment I've ever gotten. And this is one of my depressed Seussian poems called The Practice of Losing. I lose things all the time. I'm quite hopeless in that regard. I'm often found frantically searching for my keys and debit cards. I've lost whole family branches, one day there, then gone the next. They're still somewhere in the world, but for me, forcibly annexed. Between adoptions and divorces, I've somehow managed to lose more grandfathers than any one person should be able to claim their due. I've lost wonderful colleagues without any sign or warning. I've cried for them in conference rooms, performed collective mourning. But the loss of you was something new that shook the ground beneath my feet. a loss that changed my landscape, the map of my world made obsolete. I lose things all the time. I'm quite hopeless in that regard, but despite my practice losing, I still got lost in your graveyard. Like an amateur cartographer, I will redraw these maps, but now I take it down in pencil, for I've learned how fast it can collapse. So a little more cheerful. But I was also really inspired by, well, I'll get to that one in a second. But first, this one is a slightly experimental piece I did called You and I and Lost. I don't know how it does as a spoken piece, so we'll find out together. My grief is a tangle, a knot of I, and you, and you, and you. I want to celebrate, remember you with them, but they didn't know the you that I did. The you and you and you that I knew is all mixed up with the me that I saw in you and the you saw in me. Even if I could, and I can't untangle that knot of us, 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 I wouldn't. You and you and you are gone, but we still are. I have lost you, but I still have us and we and ours. The pieces that you gave me and I gave you remain fitted tightly together, a joist, a foundation that I will build upon, something that you and we and us could be proud of. So that is that piece. And this will be my last death piece. You're welcome. I was actually really inspired by Nemo's first piece about the weaving and the shuttle. And this is a slightly similar piece, so similar wavelengths there, Nemo. It's called Severed Threads. A strand of a smile, sincere and unconscious. A thread of deep care wound by your worry. A cord of wisdom carelessly shared that I use to wind my own view of the world. Rare in the intricate tangle of our complicated relationship, these warm, bright threads shine all the more starkly. They gleam amidst the darker themes. Strings of disappointment, cables of resentment, twists of recriminations. Many times I have tried to unravel these ties, to sever them, to break free. I could never do it. No matter how long had passed, the ties would be tugged, and I would irrationally follow them, Theseus towards the Minotaur. Yet no matter how dark the colors, this weaving is ours, and I am yours, beyond dispute or doubt. Now that your final thread has been snipped by the fates, our destinies diverge. I am free. I am lost. I am regret. I am untethered. As I wind the now unanchored threads into a ball that I can hold in my hands, that I can keep safe, my eyes seek out those threads that glitter. One day the sun through my window will fall upon that ball, high up on a shelf in the corner of my life, and those will be the threads that catch the light. That brings us to the final section of the book, The Dead Weight, which starts with one of the weirdest poems I've ever written, called Hello. Hello, how are you? How is your wife, husband, partner, spouse? How are your children, your pets? How is your work? Do you find it fulfilling? How is your sense of political dread? How are your feelings of inadequacy? How do you handle the long hours of night when your mind spins and spins and spins and your eyes remain bright? How do you reconcile your feelings of relevance in a world moving so fast you're almost certainly peripheral? How do you feel about the inevitability of the end, that we are all hurtling towards inexorable death? How are you doing? I hope that you're well. I'm not quite sure who I was talking to on that one, but it's interesting. This is a short one called Sweet, Sweet Depression. Most people like it just because of the title. Happiness tastes complex, weaving sweet highs with bitter lows. the groundedness of umami, the surprising bursts of sour. Happiness is a full-bodied flavor. Depression tastes only sweet, too sweet, thick and cloying, a high fructose corn syrup that drowns out all other flavors. I eat and I eat and I eat, but I cannot taste anything except thin, sugary disappointment. So that's just a little baby. This is one, I almost don't feel like it's a poem. I almost feel like it's just truth. But it's called So Strong. When you live with a mental illness, people love to tell you how strong you are, with fear in their eyes. Is it because they see how much you carry, of the battle that you fight in the fields of your own mind, of the invisible weight that you must lift every day? Or do they put those words into the world like a prophecy that they hope to be true, because they are afraid that your strength will not be enough in the end? Don't worry, I'm gonna do depression behind me. Don't worry, I'm gonna do depression behind me. That'll be our next one. Okay, I'll skip to that one. I'm gonna do this one first. Come here. All right. This one's called First Name Basis. I know sadness by his first name. He so often comes to call. He feels quite at home here. It's like he never leaves at all. I tell him of my day to day. He points out details I have missed, like the way I sounded awkward or the faux pas that I let slip. He spoons with me at bedtime so he can whisper in my ear as I drift off to sleep beside him and I dream about my fears. I know sadness by his first name. He's my longest standing friend. I worry that he'll be the only one left when I make it to the end. That's just a little one. And I will now give you the most depressing thing I have ever written. You're welcome. Don't want to oversell it. The title is Hunted, despite what Shockey put in the chat there. I feel like my depression is behind me. Not that I have overcome it. Climbed out of the hole, the living grave it digs for me, sapping all the color from reality until I'm ready to lie in it willingly. I feel like my depression is behind me, like a predator. Heavy footfalls that echo my own hot breath on the back of my neck that makes the soft hairs stand up in warning. The hackles of a wolf that only attacks itself. I've danced with depression for decades. A frantic paso doble as it stalked me around the dance floor, and I twirled and I twisted and I twined, gracefully eluding its hold. Sometimes I was dipped so low, I wondered at my ability to ever regain my feet. But momentum carried me through. If I never stopped moving, if I never stood still, I was safe. I danced through my life, cursed like Anderson's red shoes. But all things take a toll, and now I'm paying my dues. I can't even walk properly, let alone dance. My very bones have betrayed me. The doctors can fix it, but won't, because of what I weigh. So for the time being, I am easy prey who cannot run away. I can only laze about and while away the days, watching my life go astray, my mind in utter disarray as I write these maudlin poems full of worthless cliches. My dance with depression is now a battle of wills, while my will is whittled away. I'm playing useless checkers against chessmaster skills. I'm tired of being mentally ill and physically still, with pain that no pill can kill. I feel like my depression is behind me, closer than ever before, like a lover at my back, the probable winner of this war. I feel like my depression is behind me. I don't know what happens now. I feel like my depression is behind me. I'm so afraid to turn around. And that's that piece, which was a request, so you can thank Shockey for that. But we will now move to a few pieces that are not in the book. And I will try to find something that is slightly cheerful to make up for the very sad journey we all just went on together. This is a prose poem that I wrote called Palm Tree Pilgrimages. We drove past the red palm tree at least once a week. Pilgrimages to nowhere, to garish decorations of those with more money than taste in the middle of suburban enclaves made of dozens of variations on the same uninspired architecture. Copy paste, copy paste, copy pasted into a field that was once full of yield before it was eaten by suburban sprawl. A field that now grows only upper middle class ennui. Upper middle class ennui, and at one point, a 2-story tall red palm tree. No one knows who found it, or when, only where. Nights that had been spent driving aimlessly suddenly had purpose, spent in pilgrimage, parking on a street many tax brackets above our own, to confess our tender fears and nascent dreams in hushed voices under the glow of a tacky neon palm tree. We were all old enough to drive, mostly, but not drink. Not that that stopped us. Though we never drove drunk, mad commercials raised us well, so we drank and we drove, but not at the same time, though sometimes the same night. Intimate after parties in battered sedans with confessions made sloppy through the haze of cheap tequila, seeking guidance in someone else's backyard kitsch. Our Christ the Redeemer, our Notre Dame, our sanctuary in a chaotic world without center. It's gone now. The tree. I went back last year. The house still stands, utterly unremarkable, made more so by the missing electric foliage. Gone like it never existed. Gone like our friendships. Folded, for the most part lovingly. Packed into chests with mothballs and memories. I can't recall any specific conversation I had in the halo of that tacky light pollution, but I recall them all at once all the same. Silent streets and earnest whispers and big feelings and small worries and neon palm trees forever and endless, until a light would go on in the house and we would cackle and gun the engine as we drove away, our laughter drifting behind us, mingling with the exhaust as it hung in the air, certain that we would return, certain that the tree would stand, certain that this was not the last time we would see it grow small in the rear view mirror, until it was. And we didn't even know it at the time. How am I for time, Dre?
Oh, you're doing wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have a minimum of a half hour.
Okay.
So do what feels
Awesome.
right.
I will do what feels right. Um, that one's too heavy. I wanted to give you something a little lighter. Okay, this one will be interesting because I know we've got at least one other Canadian in the room. Hey, Ram. This one is called I Hear
Hey, my
America
wife
Singing.
and I are in BC.
Oh, perfect. We
So we're
got
full of
4.
Canadians, yeah. And
Nice.
I was outside, but I wanted to run into, as far as time goes, here at Open Minds, especially when we're featuring someone, it's your night. We are
Okay.
all here to see you. So
Okay.
if you want to go for an hour, you go as long as you need to where you feel heard. You know,
Never
like
give me
I'd
that. I
never
will
put
talk for the
time
rest of
limits on,
you.
I don't, then I guess we going all night. I don't like to put time limits on creativity. You go until you feel like you know, you've been
Okay.
heard, right?
Amazing. I love that.
From one
Um,
Canadian to another.
yes. So this one is a poem about Canada, but what it's like to be Canadian in the shadow of the United States. It's sort of an homage to Walt Whitman's famous poem, I Hear America Singing, which is very patriotic. This is called I Hear America Singing. I can't not. And it goes, I hear America singing. I can't not. It drifts up and over the 49th parallel. Sometimes it sounds like hope, an angelic chorus of what could be or perhaps should be, lyrics written long ago by men who spoke of right while doing wrong. Too often that song of hope is drowned out by the chanting of rallies and riots and righteousness, of human rights hindered by heavenly hypocrites. Always the song is catchy, catching, pushing, 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 a dominant cultural narrative until it drowns out the homegrown notes, until I can't tell our song from yours, our words from yours, our soul from yours. I hear the song of America and I wish I could turn it off like a radio dial just for a trial. What would it mean to be Canadian if we didn't have to listen so closely to the song of America? What would it mean to simply be human in the silence? Okay, let me see what else I got here. Okay, this is an interesting one. It is titled My Stepfather Unfriended Me on Facebook. My next collection is probably going to be something called Modern Families. This will be an entry. My stepfather has unfriended me on Facebook. Well, my former stepfather. Formerly, but not formally. My mother's former common law boyfriend. My father figure of nearly 2 decades has unfriended me on Facebook. The man who shared a bathroom and a home and a family with my mother since I was 16. The man who taught me how to drive. With a preternatural calm, a gentle, maybe don't do that again. Do what? Run a red light. Oh, has unfriended me on Facebook. The man whose home I haunted during a nervous breakdown, whose washing machine I commandeered for years when I did not have one, whose groceries I pillaged at every visit, the man who burned me a CD of Rocky Horror songs as a first gesture of goodwill, the man who has been in my life since burning CDs was a thing we all did, has unfriended me on Facebook. The man who once found a menstrual crime scene on a toilet seat and with a delicate dignity told me that I may want to revisit the bathroom and take care of it. The man who walked my sister down the aisle towards the man who would be the father of my nieces, who would call him Gramps and snuggle on his lap, has unfriended me on Facebook. The audacity of the man who wore down the walls of my prematurely jaded heart with decades of showing up, because that's the lion's share of being a parent, isn't it? The minimum, just showing up. He has shown himself out. My stepfather unfriended me on Facebook, is all I tell you. And this is a piece that I very recently wrote called On Cinderella and Stilettos. There is a lonely shoe abandoned on the sidewalk, an elegant shoe with tiny straps and a thin, precarious heel. My companion wonders aloud if this is his sign to seek his Cinderella. I scoff. Cinderella was clearly written by a man. I say, why? He asks. Because every woman knows that those shoes are unwalkable, untenable. They either dropped it unknowingly on their way to the event in a more sensible pair, or they were driven to such pinched distraction that they kicked it off in a rage, choosing to face the unknown terrain of bare concrete, barefooted. Huh, my colleague shrugs. That's not very romantic. I ask him how many shoes he has bled in. He asks why you would wear shoes that make you bleed. I say to make you beautiful. That's silly, he says. Beauty isn't worth that, he says. But he has never been an ugly woman. Never had male eyes slide right past him again and again as if he was never even there. Maybe Cinderella's heels are magic. They made her suddenly visible, until she took them off. That's pretty cynical, my companion critiques. Perhaps, I concede, but the prince still needed the shoe to see her, even when she stood barefaced and barefooted directly in front of him. Huh, he says, again. Walk a mile in those shoes, I tell him. You'd leave them by the side of the road, too. Next up, 2 heavy poems. Sorry again. Trigger warning. I do my best work in the heavy space,
Well,
but
think
then
about you
I
ain't
like,
doing a feature unless you bring in the heat. You can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna read this poem I wrote about some flowers, like no,
yes, I
you gotta
know.
bring it for the feature.
But people are always like, "What's your poetry like?" And I'm like, "Really depressing. Do you want to hear it now? Are you prepared? Are you ready?" They're expecting something about flowers, and I'm like, "This poem's about my most recent sexual assault." So, content warning, these poems are about my most recent sexual assaults. It's called The Miracle of Math. It's a miracle of math that every woman knows, as we can count the victims we know on all our fingers and toes, but the men in our lives never seem to themselves know a single perpetrator. How can that be so? I am a small nation of risk. Population every man I have taken to bed, these men who think I'm a lucky break, an easy lay who doesn't want a phone call the next day, but the women I talk to, they don't feel the same way. They think that I am reckless, that I should be more cautious. But I knew better and went on my reckless way until the day I heard myself say, stop. and you did not. Now, maybe you didn't hear me say, over the fray of our frantic display, we had sped through that foreplay, and I wasn't ready for the lay, and it hurt. I hurt. So I said, stop, and you did not. So I said it again, and again and again, a lifetime of regret and recrimination between each iteration, the fatefulness of it, no surprise, just resignation. Is this the night I joined the sorority of the violated? I wondered as the second stretched if this was my inevitable initiation. So I said, stop and stop and stop and stop. Finally, you got off with your hands held up, palms up on the up and up. I stopped, you said, as if I was unaware. I'd never said you didn't. But clearly you didn't understand why tears fell from my eyes unbidden. Your bewilderment was honest, but it turned my fear to rage. Because how could you not know why I was crying? Why I was afraid? I knew the ways in which men fear the word that neither of us would say, but our fears are not equivalent. My body was yours to betray. You tried to coax me on, steered my hand below your belt, while surely you still felt my tears pooling on your chest, as if your desire was more important than my obvious distress. And when I told you to leave, in a voice so much smaller than my own, you just kept insisting that you'd stopped without resisting, ignoring that my fear was still persisting, or the reason it's forever existing. To be a woman who sleeps with men is to willingly invite the lion between your legs, straddling a powder keg, because the math is just not mathing, and the numbers keep amassing of the men who keep trespassing on our bodies without asking, all the sexual harassing, while too many men are still half-assing change, without ever actually progressing or processing, that it's their silence that is just deafening. It's a miracle of math that every woman knows, as we can count the victims we know on all our fingers and toes. But the men in our lives never seem to themselves know a single perpetrator. How can that be so? Again, I did warn you. And this is the companion piece. Questions I have after my most recent sexual assault. These are referring to different incidences if you wonder what it's like dating on the apps. How many anonymous people do you have to sleep with before you find yourself paying the sexual assault tax? Is it a percentage or a flat rate? Is there a number I can call to ask, please? How many more and yes and harder and please must you utter in a breathless voice before you first find yourself whispering, no? How deep do you have to reach to summon the verve on that word, that tiny word, to make it strong enough so they will hear you? What part of you dies when he disregards it anyways and does only what he had always intended to do, which is you, in the manner he desired, whether you desired the same thing or not? How do you tell your family what's wrong when they ask? Do you look your parents in the eyes or hide behind a mask, mumble your confession with eyes cast down, down, down? How do you make them understand it was a sexual assault? Yes, but it was a smaller assault, that it's not as bad as they are imagining without telling them what happened, something you absolutely do not want them imagining. How do you then make them understand how big it feels, this feeling of violation, this feeling of theft? How do you handle the rage when you confront him and he disagrees? Says, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I don't think that's what it was. Even though you said no and no and no, and he still put a part of himself inside you anyways. What even is yours, if not the inside of your own skin? What can you claim to own if not that? What kingdom is yours if not the kingdom of your own body? Are women just not allowed to have kingdoms? How many people do you have to tell about it before it starts to dilute its power? Like a scream on the wind pushed from your lungs into the world only to drift away on the air currents, or a drop of blood in a beaker of filtered water, shaken and shaken and shaken until that drop breaks apart, molecules splitting until you can't see it at all anymore, until it disappears, until it's gone, until you'd never know that it was once inside you. I guess what I'm asking is, how do I feel better? And why doesn't he feel worse? I also have a play on that subject matter. Um, because I just feel like I haven't written it out of myself yet. I find a lot of my writing is healing, though this next piece is more political than anything else. It's called They Don't Call It Poverty. They don't call it food insecurity. When their cupboards are more bare than not, they call it math. The calculation of what they have versus what they do not, and how long will it be until they have again, and how long will that last, and how far can they stretch a bag of rice, and how long is too long without fresh vegetables, and what makes you fullest longest on the slimmest sliver of a cent. They don't call it a hot housing market when even their dreams cannot conceive of owning a home. They call it rigged. When those with excess cash or impeccable credit can afford the down payment on a home, when a mortgage payment is so often lower than the ever-escalating extortion of private market rent that makes it impossible to save enough to escape the wheel of chance, that is renting in a market that cares for investors over residents. They don't call it a social safety net when they cash the pittance granted to those disabled. They call it cruelty. After they jump through hoops of qualifications, to prove they cannot jump through hoops of occupations, to be relegated to the hoops for social services designed for their new inevitable social stations, with more strings and impediments and indignities than those who are abled are even able to see. They don't call it poverty, when the few have a lot while the lot have a little. They call it exploitation, as they work their full-time hours and can't live off the livable wage determined mathematically, callously by those who have never had to live on it. When payday covers back payments owed and a rainy day means they will drown. They call it hard. They call it unfair. They call it life, but they don't call it poverty. You call it poverty. So you can decide how little of your much you are willing to part with. Then pat yourself on the back. Call it charity. I work in the anti-poverty space, and some days just get to me. Some days just get to me. Okay, I've got 4 pieces left. No, I lied. I've got 3 pieces left. This is a shortish one called Why I Do Not Write of Love. I could write novels of how achingly lonely the embrace of a stranger, flickers of heat when what I want is an inferno, tinder without kindling so quickly goes out. I could fill volumes of clinical observations of those who have filled my body but not my heart, held me without having me, looked at me but never could see me. I could compose arias of the orgasms that I've faked, when the destination just isn't in reach and I just wait, bored for another's climax, a passenger instead of a partner. I could write a symphony of the melodic murmuring of empty platitudes, of the snick of softly closed doors never again opened, of how full the silence that lingers. But I cannot write of what I do not know. And I know love as well as they knew me, which is to say, not at all. All right. I've got 2 slam poems to finish us off. We've got, let's see, I will finish with surfing my self-loathing first. I hate that my self-loathing is always lurking right under the surface, just waiting for a few flakes of failure to chum the water in its service. I can feel it down there, swimming around beneath my feet, while I balance on a flimsy paddleboard, trying to stabilize my core, trying to be positive more. But my muscles are getting sore and I've lost track of the score. What the fuck did I even come up here for? It's not enough for me to write. I want to be understood. I want someone to look me in my eyes and tell me that I'm good, that my life is more than some antiquated idea of spinsterhood. So I paddle out here, open seas all around. I'm not a very strong swimmer. I hope I do not drown. I scream out my secrets like no one is around, reading poems about breakdowns and performing like a clown. And why do I do it? So that I can feel found, or maybe just seen. But finding self-worth in a number is another failing scheme. Whether it's the scores that I get or don't get come to that, or the number on a scale telling me that I'm too fat, or the likes on my new posts, or my number of Tinder chats, or the raise I didn't get, or the partner that I lack. It's all just a part of some pointless combat. A false flag of failure trying to disguise this one fact that the monster in the deep, the one under my feet, withholding the assurances I seek, has always and only shared my very heartbeat. I won't find salvation or the salve that I crave from riding these waves, from digging my own grave. It's time for me to be brave because the monster is inside me. You can't outrun your own rot. It's time to unlearn all the bullshit I have ever been taught. The praise that I've sought can't be begged for or bought. It must be fought. I ought to be my own champion even when waters are fraught. I can't control much, but that I've got. So no matter what happens, the self-loathing isn't winning. I'm doing this for me. You'll just have to forgive it. And on a slightly optimistic note, I will finish with a recent piece that I have been tinkering with, called, well, it doesn't have a title yet. It's that new. But I think I might have done it on the Slam Jam. So if so, enjoy its evolved state. Things I never thought I'd hear myself say. But God damn it, I love being middle-aged. And before you come for me, I will have you know that I am almost 40. That's 4 decades of living, many more than I thought I'd ever see, because I'm chronically ill, suicidally. This journey's not been easy, but I've made it this far willfully. But when I was younger, I was dripping in self-doubt, saturated in shame, drowning in the fallout of generational curses. Worse is the way that I hated myself. Saw other kids learning to fly while I was just trying to stay alive, all alone in my own mind, trapped in the narcissism of survival that makes every ally seem like a rival. But growing up means looking up, tearing your gaze from the path that you walk, always vigilant for obstacles that block, worried that you're getting left behind the flock. It means taking the time to look over and around, to find so much more common ground that you never knew was there unfound. Now, yes, you may stumble on your path. You might trip and fall right on your ass, scrape your knees and your pride, and other people, they might laugh. And once you get back up, it's only going to be a matter of time before you fall down again, right there in the slime. But here's the beautiful secret that you only learn with time. The more you fall down and get back up, the more truth that you find. You'll learn the most about yourself with the taste of failure thick in your mouth. So give it a swish and spit it back out. You don't have to poison yourself to learn what the lesson's about. Stop being a martyr, no performative pouts. As they say, everyone you know is fighting a battle you know nothing about. It's taken me nearly 40 years, but I now know without a doubt that I actually know very little. And that's not a cop-out. Every question that I've asked has never led me to answers. Just more questions I should ask. It's like an ontological cancer. So how can I be smug about the little that I know when the amount that I do not is this never-ending shadow? It's so freeing to acknowledge that I'm really nothing special, just an average human vessel doing her best to live well. So as I enter middle age, I am shedding lots of baggage, empty expectations, other people's speculations. I have grown up and I have looked up, and I can tell you firsthand that the world is a wide and vast and varied land full of wonderful weirdos who are all just trying their best. So you just do you. But look up sometimes and take a damn rest. All right, that brings us to the end of my set. I want to thank you all for being incredible as an audience, and I so look forward to the open mic we've heard to date. I can't wait to hear who comes next. This has been a real privilege and a really great space that you've created.
Thank you. Thank you. Everybody at this time, please give it up for our feature tonight, Kelly Mary McAllister.
Wow.
Canada in the house.
Yeah, CA. What?
Incredible.
Oh, Kelly, thank you so much. My wife has tried to warn and prepare me for what I was getting into because she knows you a little better, and I tried, but you still somehow blew my mind. And what the some of the works you're doing are very integral, and I'm actually gonna be hollering at you because we need to do like a podcast or a show or something to help educate the youth so these things don't happen in the future. Yeah. So.
Shaki, you're like 1 year younger than me.
Exactly, yo. You know how much growth has happens in 1 year?
Not
I
if
hope
you're
it.
40. I'm not. Don't do that.
Hey, I'm
Don't do that.
40
I'm
now.
sorry,
Fuck.
friend. You're getting close. You're getting close. But yes, I would love to do a podcast. Please reach out.
Yeah. Thank, and again, thank you so much for this feature. It was amazing. Like, just your range and depth too. Like, I want to dig through your files and folders and notepads and whatever little scraps of paper you have notes written on, and just like, yeah, I want to dive into just a swimming pool full of your words. So yeah, keep doing what you're doing. It's amazing.
That was such a heavy set. And
But she
never
kept doing it light
apologize.
too,
I was gonna say, never apologize for your
She like
dark
lift you
shit
up and then
because
slam you on the ground and be like, "Oh, come on, it's okay." Like, oh, wow. But that's
as I
what
was
people are
trying
here
to
for.
say,
Sorry, bro.
just never apologize for your dark shit because it's how you bounce back from the shit, that shows your growth and the way you're able to portray that in your art um is inspiring. And I hope that people who watch this feature when this gets uploaded, who happen to stumble upon it, who happen to stumble upon you, are able to associate how to be able to bounce back from heavy shit like you've had to overcome. And I just want to give you a big shout out for what you're able to do to be able to make, to turn chicken shit into chicken salad, as they say. But I don't know, just spectacularly done. Thank you, Kelly, for being able to take the time to come grace this virtual stage with us here tonight.
Hey, wait, hey, Lantern, wait. Before you go, I wanted to do as my second piece. I wanted to do that collab we had did. But if you have to run, that's okay. But if
You
you
wanted to do you haven't done any yet?
know the collab that we did about grief.
Yeah. You remember the name?
Yeah, I have it here in the email you had sent it to me. Hold on. It was reflecting on grief of shared memories. On reflecting on the grief of shared memories.
I'm looking it up.
It's good that it is mentioned now because up next we do have Thomas Open Minds, but on deck, I just want to make sure. Ramrock, are you down to participate? Hell yeah. All right. So on deck we got
We
Ramrock,
got
but step
Mavi.
up to the plate now.
Well,
Please give
Mavi
it up.
too.
Well, Mavi said that he's not
Oh,
going to be
he's not gonna.
performing.
Oh, okay. He's just gonna
He,
do the
he-
back check. Okay.
yeah. So at this time, please give it for Thomas Open Minds at this time. I'm going to take it away when you're ready.
All right.
Drew, I think he's asking for me to perform with him, but I'm looking for it.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and look for it, I'll do the first piece, and then
Okay.
we'll go into that piece. All right, Mavi, do I got a sound check?
Hey,
I just hear you plucking. I don't hear the actual.
my pedals turned down, but
Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah. All right.
nothing's changed
Um,
though on my end.
yeah, this one is just about making a potion. Go ahead, Tony.
Alright.
I am floating the notion of brewing a potion by coating this toad skin with sin that floating from the ocean. My promotion from the alchemist allows me to twist a list of ingredients to an elixir for the deviants. My mixer is filled with regions I stole from a mean witch, including, but not limited to, 22 clean and enriched spiders who glitch at the sight of the rabbit's breasts I loaded into the soda fizz. I then mixed in 2 frog legs I plucked from a long jungle and coated hallway. The way home was a struggle because I took the loaded way. It allowed for the moon to imbue this brew that I'm mixing. Trying to feel uplifted, I took a grip of some purple flowers that I found drifting in and out of this 3rd dimensional space we're all trying to claw our way out of. And I heard some intentional bass vibrating in such a way some space worms come out to play. I tossed them in the pot and made my way to the next stop. But then I got lost, trying to pluck a star from the sky. Why, you ask? Not for the potion, but to fill my flask with emotion. See, these things take time. Planets need to align, fluids free to dissolve, then settle into resolution. Evolve into a better state of being, mixing with the rest of the ingredients. Becoming this test of my disgusting nothing you see in this sludge, this fudge tasting, mind erasing, time displacing potion I'm misplacing in the worst place I've seen to inspire all the higher beings that I see in my dream. Breathe. And then Lantern, if you're ready.
I found it, yeah. I found it under Thomas's. It's actually called with the same name, but it was saved as collab with Thomas's and myself. Yeah.
All right, and Maeve, like I had offered earlier, I know you didn't get any practice on this. This is your first time hearing it, but you know, if you're sitting there, just kind of just a little ambient background, like kind of hear the flow of the poem, and if you want to join in, like yeah. All right. Reflecting on
good,
grief. Yeah. Hey, we about to get it with him, man. It's gonna be fun here. Okay, so this is dedicated to everyone that we have lost and dedicated to ourselves and everybody who's going through loss, right? It's called Reflecting on the Grief of Shared Memories. In my journey through these years, I've danced with loss more times than I can count. Friends like stars have flickered and faded, each for their own reason, leaving shadows behind.
But there's been good times too, when daybreaks were filled with the glimmering sun and the songbirds sung melodies of our friendship and eloquence. Your words waltzing in the realm of insightfulness and possibilities.
Yet, even in the face of such darkness, I choose to walk in light. Grief like rain can nourish the soul, but too much can impede the seeds of tomorrow.
Yet, even in the light of your demise, I have still chosen to walk with the mystic sun. Grief nourishes my soul, knowing that the seeds of your self-giving, your generosity of spirit will manifest love's grace as the fruit-yielding trees of tomorrows.
If you were to slip beyond the veil, would you want me to be lost in a storm of sorrow? No, I don't believe you'd wish for, I believe you'd wish for something brighter. You'd want me to shed a single tear, a drop of the purest crystal, catching all the hues of our shared days.
Knowing the joys of the beyond, would you wish me lost in the dark veil of sorrows? No. You would have me reach to the stars, even as the moon laughs at our table. And if I should shed a tear, let it be to remember your vibrancy, cheerfulness, and wit, blending into a kaleidoscope of our precious moments.
And then you'd want me to smile, to laugh, to let your spirit soar on wings of our memories. Each moment we've shared is a gem of radiant color to be cherished. See, like a garden of wildflowers in the heart's deepest soil, this gem will grow.
I know that you like fun and gaiety, to set our souls free. On the wings of the eagle, on the wings of the phoenix, dauntless, braving the tsunami waves, burdensome memories, riding on the crest of new vistas, will merge in a pageantry of color, our time spent together, lending themselves to or blending with the aroma of jasmines and lavenders in a garden of love, in the most fertile of soils.
For though you are gone, your laughter, your love echoes on, like a song carried by the wind. So I say, let grief be but a whisper, a gentle breeze. Celebrate the lives that have touched ours, for the virgin dawn awakes even after the darkest night, heralding rays of sunlight.
And though you now float on the Elysian lap of paradise, your sense of justice, laughter, love still resonates in the ether and the citadel of the Sacred Heart, where their musical echoes mesmerizes my core.
In our stored memories, we find not just the past, but a light that will guide us forward, a light that shines as brightly as the love that we still hold dear.
Your bars are still carried in the breeze of my memories, and I pray that my grief would be worthy of a short but powerful, wondrous life. And so I celebrate with the other lives that you have touched, even as the moon illumines my heart and constellations dance in the perennial heavens, depicting the innate beauty of your soul.
So
Oh,
you are
you
our
are
pole
a
star,
pole star
our
of
guiding light,
guiding light,
having
having
blended
blended
with
with
the
the
love
love
of the Most
of the
High,
Most High,
reminding us
reminding
of
us
the
of integrity,
integrity of the
of the
things worth
things worth
cherishing,
cherishing,
of the
of the
oneness
oneness
of
of
creation.
creation, and
In
this
this
mysterious
mysterious
dance,
dance of light
light
called
called
love.
love. Thomas Colvin, the Monarchista, the Lantern Carrier, 19 August 2024. Thank you so much.
Dedicated to everyone we lost and everyone who's lost somebody. And
Indeed.
thank you, Mayvi, for the backtracking. You crushed it. That set the tone. Like that was such a beautiful performance. I really appreciate
Indeed,
all of you guys for
indeed.
being a
Yeah.
part of that.
That's what reading at, wherever there is grief and the parted. Yes. Yes. And for solace, comfort the solace.
Everybody at this time, please unmute and give it for Thomas, Lansard, and Mavi at this time.
Well done.
The K was awesome. My body
A
started.
three-way. Woohoo! Awesome. It was awesome, Thomas.
That's the only three-way you'll see me with is two other men.
Good night, all. I'm tired.
Good
Well,
night,
Long day,
Lanta.
long day.
Thank you for staying up late and for doing that piece with me, brother. I really appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
It was beautiful.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking.
thank you, Lansard, for doing what you're doing. Thank you, everybody who have tuned in so far tonight. No, and then again, one more time, Kelly Mary McAllister kicked ass,
Yeah,
absolute
Kelly.
ass, and I'm just thankful
Yeah.
to be sharing space with
Love
everybody
it.
here. We still got a couple more poets to go. With that said, All right. With that said, on deck, we got Black Silver 47, but stepping to the plate now, we got Ramrock. But wait, Thomas, I believe you have a message for this next performer?
Ramrock, I do believe it's your first time here at an Open Minds event, correct? Okay. Y'all know what to do. Everybody unmute yourselves. Give a big open mind, open heart, open arms. Welcome to Ramrock.
Welcome.
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 Woohoo.
Welcome,
Welcome.
welcome.
Glad you're here.
Thank
Yes.
you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. I followed Kelly's head into this room tonight. And Kelly's a homie from T-Dot. So I'm here. Great show tonight. I love the platform so far. So thanks for having me. I'll share 2 short pieces. All of here. This one is titled Rebellion. Poison plants itself, interconnects with laboring tongue and quill, and erects a coalition against the reprimanding used to safeguard wanton felons from escaping asylum. This injurious offering mingles with parchment and declares itself independent, stains teeth, intoxicates, and regurgitates. It tastes like rebellion. A cushioned chamber soiled from thrown up crimes committed from this internal commissary. Reform decays, lips crack against the noxious spittle, and sanguine stream into poetry. That's the first one.
Hold up. Welcome home, yo. Kelly, where you been hiding him at? Why ain't you bring him before?
Mostly Toronto and Instagram.
That's the truth.
Uh,
Yeah, thank you. The second piece is called The Maestro of Science. The greatest tragedy of existence is being a poet, singing through the shards of familiarity, rewriting yesterday in futility. What's the use in dreaming when failure is steeped deep in the stars, coded in between the margins of this mead composition notebook? Tomorrow is a mirage, diminishing poem by poem, but the urge to prepare an oasis of revival is sordid. An irrational lust for meaning by watering barren pages with ink-stained tears, a maestro stuck waving a baton to a silent symphony. There's no consolation in pretense, just another dissonant display, dense, didactic, deceitful. The greatest tragedy of existence is being a poet, a vagabond's crown of thorns, this bleeding gift of curse. Poem.
Everybody, please give it up for Ramrock at this time. Hell yeah, my dude.
Ah, Ramrock.
you deeper than the thorns you just pushed into my brain with that last one, man. Hey, I feel you, brother. Hey, welcome home. Like,
Thank you
please
for
come back
having
to
me.
more shows, man. We would love to hear more of your stuff, man. That was
For
amazing.
sure. For sure. Thank you.
And Kelly has to leave. Laptop's dying, so everybody, one more time, unmute yourselves and give Kelly all
Thank
the love
you,
she deserves
Kelly.
for that
Thank
feature.
you.
Thanks,
That was
Cal.
Thank you
awesome.
so much.
Kelly.
Woo! Thank you.
Thank you again for being able to agree to do this feature because I believe that your work deserved the spotlight that we were able to grant you. Just infinite time, let it all hang out, and I just hope that more eyes are able and more ears are able to be exposed to your work moving forward because that needs to be a thing.
And you would have just been sitting in the hotel room all bored, so
Exactly.
we're glad we got to entertain you as well.
It was a real privilege. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you
I
so
will
much.
see you all soon.
Yeah, have a wonderful
Thank
sleep.
you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Take care. Oh wow. We're gonna keep this
Ramrock,
shindig rolling.
you know Kelly, man. You guys live near each other in Toronto there?
Yeah, man. I have a group called Six Poet Society, and Kelly's a part of it. So yeah, we do
See,
some
I'm on
open
the
mics
West
here and there.
Coast here now, so
Oh,
if you
all
guys
right,
ever
man.
come out to BC, we'll have to link
All,
up, or if I'm ever out in Toronto, that way we'll have to link
yeah,
up.
man, for sure, for sure.
And if not, we're
Yeah,
here. We have multiple shows throughout the week. Just follow us at Open Minds Open Mic on IG and
all right,
post your info down in the chat too, so everybody could follow you, because I'm sure they
absolutely.
want to hear more.
I was able to find you on Instagram, both on my personal profile and on the Slam Jams profile. And I
Drop the
post
link.
events and I post like advertisements for events that happen throughout the week. So as long as you follow either the one Slam Jam or Open Minds Open Mic on Instagram, you'll be in the loop with any and all events that we're doing. So again, thank you for finding us. Thank you for um bringing your stuff here
And
to
once
Open
again,
Minds Open
welcome
Mic.
home. Welcome home,
Thank y'all,
buddy.
thank y'all,
Home.
thank y'all.
Welcome home.
All right, so from looks of it, we got two more poets. On deck, we got Debbie Segal, but step up to the plate now. Please give it up for Black Silver 47. Please unmute and take it away when you are ready.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me okay? Okay, I see
Yeah,
thumbs
buddy.
up, so I'm gonna go ahead and get right into it. Wasn't sure which pieces to do. I kind of changed my mind at the last minute. So yeah, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do two pieces. The first piece doesn't really have a title, but we'll call it the Dagda. And the second piece is called Face Off. And so we'll start out with the first piece, the Dagda. And if anybody here is familiar with my works on mythology, this is one of those pieces in veneration of the Celtic divinity, the Dagda, also known as the good god. Big deal god, big deal god in Celtic lore. And here we go. Some stop and smell the roses. Others drink simply for the taste and a good chat. Me, I'm here for it all and to have fun while I'm at it. I'm from the flames, and in a blaze of glory is how I will die, with my trusty harp by my side, a cauldron, and a sturdy club that decides who lives or dies. I am the Dagda of Celtic legend, and I'm here for it all. Let's have a good time and drink till we fall. Let's make good memories that we take to our graves. Forget the burdens of maturity and let your inner child play. Come, let us be devoured by our passions, and don't forget my wife, god of fate, the Morrigan. Listen well, this is the last thing I'll say. If you can't have fun with it, you shouldn't do it anyway. And so that's my piece. The Dagda seems like a very if you follow the mythology of the Dagda, he seems like a very jovial kind of character. So I thought that would be something that he might say, you know. So yeah, that came out. And so let's move on to the second piece called Face Off. Here we go. So fake, it's modern art. So cliche, it's the perfect one. Don't say it, sign it in blood. Don't run, settle the score. No takers for the truth. Don't say I didn't warn you. Go back to the oldest book. In the back, it will tell you the truth will not be found on the back of a woman. The truth will not come from the back of a slave. The truth will not be found in the back of a cave. The truth has always been staring you in the face. And that is Face Off. Kind of short, but that's what I got for tonight. Thank you all for listening. No place I'd rather be.
And we are so happy to have you, man. Everybody unmute and show your love for Black Silver 47 at this time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Black
Silver,
Silver.
yeah.
Thank you.
Woo!
And if you guys aren't following Black Silver, y'all need to check out the chat right now. Follow him on YouTube, Instagram, and on BandLab. Like Black Silver is making incredible art. Everybody needs to check it out and get involved with it. Thanks for doing what you do, brother. We love you.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Thomas.
I'm just gonna say this real quick. When you said Face Off, I instantly thought of Nicolas Cage and John Travolta, and now I want to watch that movie. um,
Hey,
completely unrelated, but somewhat related. But
hey, if I sparked a flame in you to like, you know, do something, then I've done my job as a poet. So I'm glad to hear that, you know. So go do what you do. Go do what you do.
I think I might do that. But before I even do that, we do have one more poet. And at this time, I love whenever we see her on this platform. The one and only Debbie Segal. Please unmute and take it away when you are ready.
Thank you so much. I'm just so mortified that I missed the feature. When I featured, I didn't get to the mic till 5:30, so I just thought I was
It
getting here
went
on
quick
time.
this early. People had
I
quick
guess it
phones.
depends on the number of people or whatever, but I won't hold you for too long. This is a good segue to what Black Silver 47 had said about sparking a flame, because we are in extreme fire danger here in the Bay Area, and this is just a really short piece called Red Flag. First full moon of autumn, the hunter in the fire sign of Aries is flaxen and concealed by a rusty murk. Swathed in a shawl of antipathy, the ensuing dawn cracks steely on a furious squall. The hot Santa Ana zephyrs blast across dry foothills grasses. Legions of fiendish raiders invading the denizens of the glen. Red flag warning. 13 acres burnt on the eve of the Oakland firestorm of 1991. Winds of 85 miles per hour expected at sunset. So that's all I'm going to do. And if we have another secret round, then I'll at least be here to chat with everybody.
Yeah.
At this time, please, everybody give it up for Debbie Segal.
Yeah,
Debbie.
Debbie! Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Woo!
Debbie was actually the first guest on Heart of the Artist, and I'm going to be pulling up that and actually featured, what was it, last week, the week before? You just featured on Open Mics too, so I'm going to
October
get credit.
4th,
October
a date
4th.
that will forever live in my mind. It was such a good time. I enjoyed it so much. It was worth waiting anxiously for an hour and a half to get to take the mic. I appreciated it so
We had to
much.
build suspense, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to be
Yeah.
posting both of those links in the chat. And once again, thank you so much, Debbie. We love what you do. Keep writing.
And with that said, I believe that concludes another episode of Open Minds, Open Mic. I'll leave it up to Thomas if we're going to be having the room open after we conclude the recording. But before we conclude the recording, I just want to remind y'all that next week we do not have a feature, but we do have a hybrid show. So we will be coming at you live from both on Zoom and at the Bookery live in Manchester, New Hampshire at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you'll be experiencing a little bit of online and a little bit of live, and it should be a fun time. From what I hear, there's some interest, so hopefully we'll have more live participants.
Well, and also like not only we doing that live there, but on November 1st, we're doing a hybrid live from Freetown, Sierra Leone, Africa, with Nkundla Arts Festival in Freetown there. Sfongo is going to be hosting the in-person there, and we're going to be holding it down here in the Zoom room. It's at noon on a Friday, so we've been trying to give people fair warning so they could take a sick day, a vacation day, or whatever, so they can make it. Sign up in the link that I just posted there, or message me, and we can get you signed up. There's going to be 12 online performers and 8 in person, but he's already told me there's almost 15 people in person who signed up. So it might go all night. So, for us and them. So make sure you guys are checking out that link that I just posted in the chat there. Sign up if you're available at that time. Share your art around the world, man. Like we're doing hybrids in the
We're doing a
States.
hybrid next Friday and the
Yeah.
Friday after. So that's going to be
Yeah,
interesting.
it's gonna be fun stuff, man.
So, with that said, our next event here in the Zoom room will be tomorrow, the Slam Jam at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with special guest coach MT Paridi. So stay tuned for that. If you would like to slam, if you want to like workshop your slam poetry, tomorrow will be the space for that. Or if you want to do some more open mic stuff, tomorrow there'll be a space for that. Or you just want to just vibe with the Slam Jam fam, come. Come all. With that said, thank you for spending your, part of your day, your evening, your night here at Open Minds, Open Mic. Until next time, please keep writing, please keep loving, peace and love to y'all, and have a great night.